Hello, welcome to Python 102. In today's class, we'll be looking at variables. Variables are containers for holding or storing data value. So we'll get to the data value later, but we need to talk about variable and how you can manage variable in Python. So a variable is created when you just need it on the fly. There's no special keyword to declare a variable. So let's say you want to hold an information, say age or name of someone. So I'll say James. What we've done in line 1 is to declare a variable called name, and we are holding a data which is James inside that variable. So let's go ahead and hold other kind of variables, and this time around we are holding numbers. So we have two things here. We have the variable and then we have the variable data type. So this class is just going to be focused on the variable declaration. Now let's talk about the rules of naming variables. Before we talk about the rules, I need to highlight something, and that is how to write comments in Python. Comments are a good way to make notes in your code such that you can come back and revisit them, or other people can see what you are doing in your code. So to make comments in Python, you use the hash sign to denote that everything that follows is a comment. So here I want to write variable naming rules. So I want to do something like this, like an underline. And again, to make this kind of underline, what do you need to do here? You need to specify the hashtag in front of everything you've typed here. That way, the system knows that you are dealing with comments. So let's go on and talk about the number 1 requirement. And the number 1 requirement is that the variable must start with a letter or an underscore. So that's one requirement, and we can give an example to that. So you could say name. So this is a valid variable name, but you can't do something like this. So it has to start with a letter or an underscore for it to pass as a valid variable name. So we'll go to the next thing, which is number 2 requirement of creating a variable. A variable name cannot start with a number, which is one of the things we just talked about now. So meaning you can't have something like this. So you can't have something like this. So it must not start with a number, it must start with a letter or an underscore. So the next rule that you have, which is number 3 rule, is that must contain only alphanumeric character and underscore. What that means is that you can't have special characters in your variable declaration. So let's see something what they are trying to talk about. So if I can't have $name. I can't have something like this. This might be valid in other programming language, but Python doesn't allow that. And that gives you the testament of how they try to make things very simple and clean for you to be able to read. So anything like this is not allowed. You can have things like this, you can have something like this. So it must be clean like this. So let's look at the 4th rule that we have there. Variable names are case sensitive. So what that means is that if you have name like this is different from name like this. This is another variable, and it's also different from this. So these are 3 different variables, guys. So they are case sensitive. So whenever you declare a variable, you must be consistent in how you name your variables. And finally, number 5, and that is that keywords are not allowed as variable name. So let's give an example to that. At least now you know print is a keyword because we use print to perform an operation, which is to print to the console. This is the first thing you guys learned in Python, and that is to print to a console. So you can't say you want to use print as a variable name. That would break a lot of things. So this is not allowed to be done. But there is also another nifty way to do this in order not to be putting hashtag hash on all over the place. You could do something like this by specifying 3 quotes. And within your 3 quotes, you put all this information that you want to put here, and at the end you put back your 3 quotes. So those three quotes says that everything inside this quote is a comment. That's what that quote is, saying, so that you can still run your other parts of your code like so. So your code will still run this way. So this is how to generate or create multiple line comments. So this will give you ability for you to do multiple line comment like this. What I want to show you guys now is how to assign multiple value to multiple variable, or how to declare multiple variable at the same time in a single line, kind of. So let me give you an instance whereby you have name is equal to James and you have age is equal to 24. This is okay. You guys are used to this by now. And I can add one more thing and say gender is equal to male. So you could also do this in another way by saying name, age, gender. So these are the variable name, and I'm about to equate them to something. So you could equate the first name to James this way, so that the second value, which is age, can then be 26, and the final one, which is gender, can then be male. So this 1 to 3 is equivalent to this 5 here. So this is assigning multiple variable name to multiple data types here. And we also have another variation in the sense that if you want to assign multiple variable to a single value. So this is, more of the time used for initialization. So let's say you have a counter is equal to 0. You have maybe a reader is equal to 0. I'm just making up variable name. And then let's say you have x is equal to 0. So now that you have these three variables and they all equate to 0, so you could use one line to capture this initialization. So you can then do counter is equal to reader is equal to x is equal to 0. So what you are saying in essence is that this 0 is equal to x, and then x is equal to reader is equal to counter. So that means everything here is equal to 0. So line 1 to 3 is equivalent to line 5. So you could shorten your code by just writing line 5. So this is a way for you to initialize a single value to a variable. So we can test this out by just running this and we see this result. So the next thing for me to show you guys is how to use the print function. The print function is one of the very first function you guys have been presented to, and the idea is that you're going to be using it a lot for debugging and to check out what is happening with your variable or with the data that you have in your variable. So and it will be good for you to understand, to have a deep knowledge about what's happening with the print function. Let's bring out the old example we have so that we can see something that makes sense. So let's print something fancy with what we have here. So I could just say in a string, I can say James is 34 years old and he is a male. So of course this is a static variable, or this is a static string. We know that our variable holds some key information, and what are the key information is the name, which is the James here, and we also have the age, which is here, and then we have the gender, which is male. So print allows you to pass parameter, so you can pass as many variable as you want. So what that means is that I can actually break this up and do something like this. So I can do James is, so I'm passing James as a string now, and then this other part is also a string. So you can break this up to as many bits or pieces as you want, and you're passing it as a parameter into the print function. So this print function is now accepting 1, 2, 3 strings, and then it still print out the same thing you have here. Now because the James itself, it's a variable, because tomorrow this can be Sam. This can be Sam tomorrow, right? It can be anything, and that's what variable is all about, because variable is all about a container to hold information. So things that changes, you put them in variable. So let's go ahead and replace this Sam with name. So what then happened, whatever is here will be sitting here. So if I run this, I have James sitting there. So whatever I change this to, let's change it to Sam now. So Sam then becomes what is there. What other variable do we have? We also have age. How do we isolate age out of this place? Is by making sure that age is also standing as a variable. So how can age stand as a variable? Is by introducing another parameter inside here. Remember, print can accept unlimited number of parameters that you can give to it. So we have age here, then followed by a comma. Comma is a way for us to be able to add more parameter into the function print. So we've been able to add the name, the age, and then this age then becomes obsolete. We don't need this age again. So you can run it and see what happens, because we'll have a repetition. Sam is 34, which is this age here, and then we'll have another 34 here, which is not needed. And we have our years old, and he is of course, we'll remove this one and put our gender there. So if we run this, we have Sam is 34 years old and he is a male. So if you play around with this and do Michael and say 99 and you run your code, you have something interesting. Michael is 99 years old and he's a male. So that is how dynamic your print can be, for you to be able to, you can use your prints to do quite a lot of things, but this is just, the beginning of what we'll be using print for. We'll be using it for quite a lot of things down in the tutorial.